Hello, class. Today we are going to look at finding the key features of graphs of functions. So today is the first lesson. We'll have several more over this topic. So your essential question: how do I find key features of graphs of functions? Learning intention: I am learning to identify key features of functions. You have 2 warm-up questions. So please pause the video and do the 2 warm-up questions now. Well, I hope you tried. If you're able to do it on your own, you know that you understand the concept. So, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that connects these 2 points. Step 1 is always to find your slope. Your slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. -2 minus -8 over 15 minus 10. Now you could have had -8 minus -2 also, and you'll still get the same slope. -2 minus a negative, you don't minus a negative, you plus the positive. -2 plus 8 is 6. 15 minus 10 is 5. So my slope is 6 over 5. Now, slope-intercept form is that y equals mx plus b. We need to find b yet. So I'm going to choose either one of these 2 points. It doesn't matter which one. Substitute the y value in and the x value in, plus my slope, and then solve for my b value. So, which one do I want to use? I think I'll use the second one. -8 is equal to 6 over 5 times 10 plus b. Take a minute and think about the process. Okay, so -8 is equal to, I know that 10 divided by 5 is 2, 6 times 2 is 12, plus b. Last step. Subtract 12 from both sides. So -8 plus -12 or minus -12 is -20, and that's equal to b. So now I've got my b, I've got my slope, I'm ready to finish up. Y is equal to 6 over 5 x minus 20. And that is your equation. Okay, for the next one, we're doing the next one in point slope form. Remember that point slope form is y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. We've got our slope, we've got our point. It's a simple matter of substitution. So y minus -9 is equal to 4 over 5 times x minus -6. Even though the numbers are negative, we still subtract. So remember, we don't minus the negative, we plus the positive. Y plus 9 is equal to 4/5, 4 over 5, x plus 6, and we're done. Okay, so as we're looking at this, the zeros of the functions, we have to know what that means. What is a zero of a function? A zero of a function is any value x such that f of x is equal to 0. So in other words, your output or y is equal to 0. Where does this happen? It happens where the function crosses the x-axis. So, the graph and the table represent linear functions f and g respectively. How can you find the 0 of f? F is the graph. How do we find the 0 of f? Well, we're going to find where it intersects the y-axis, or the x-axis. Remember, we want y to be equal to 0. So the x-axis is where y is equal to 0 all the time. So if we're looking, where does it cross the x-axis? Well, this is 0, -2, -4, -6. So this is -2, 0. Okay, what about the table? What are you looking for at the table? If you're looking at the table, you want to know what? You're still looking for where g of x is equal to 0. So we're looking for where the output is 0. So 10, 0 is the point. Now, which function has the larger 0? Well, that is g. Because 10 is greater than -2. Okay, so we are going to look at some word problems. Tasha is filling a car with gasoline. The volume of gas in the tank increases steadily until the pump stops when the tank is full, as shown in the graph. Identify the minimum and maximum of the function given by the graph and tell what they represent, what the minimum and maximum represent. So as you're looking at it, we're thinking, okay, the minimum is the 0.04. Okay, what will that mean? Okay, so she's getting ready to fill her car with gas. Before she starts filling it, what does the 4 mean? 4 is your volume. So when she starts to fill the car, she has 4 gallons left in her tank. So that's your minimum. And 0 means we've not started yet. And so her starting level of gas in her car tank was 4 gallons. So what is the maximum? Okay, 7216. Remember, we're talking about time versus gallons. If you think about it logically, most cars do not hold 72 gallons of gas, but they do hold 16 gallons of gas. So after, this is in seconds, 72 seconds, there's how many gallons of gas? 16 gallons. So, what does the t-coordinate of 72 of the graph's right endpoint represent? It represents the amount of time it takes to fill the tank. Okay, what would happen in this context if the domain were extended beyond 72 seconds? So think about what happens. You're at the gas station, you've let it fill, and it kicks off. What if it doesn't kick off? What happens? Well, if you don't stop the amount of gas going in, eventually it will overflow and you will smell like gasoline. The tank would overflow and you would get gas all over. Just so you know, yes, I've done that before, and then you stink like gas for a very long time. Okay, so that's the end of the gas tank getting full, but the next is about a tree farm. A hybrid popular tree was planted at a tree farm. The tree grew for 10 weeks at the farm and then was sold and transplanted into a customer's yard or lawn. The graph shows the tree's height, h of t, as a function of time, while it would as a function of time t while it was at the farm. Tell whether the function is increasing or decreasing. Identify the domain, range, minimum, and maximum. Okay, for the domain, it starts at 0 and ends at 10. 0 is less than or equal to x, is less than or equal to 10. For the range, it starts at 40 feet and goes to 55 feet. Okay, so it starts at 0 and goes to 10 weeks. It starts at 40 feet high and 40 inches high and goes to 55 inches high. What do the minimum and maximum values represent in this situation? Okay, for the minimum, the tree was 40 inches tall when planted at the tree farm. Okay, what does the maximum stand for? At the tree farm, it grew from 40 inches to 55 in 10 weeks. We could actually say at the tree farm it grew to 55 inches in 10 weeks. Does the function have any zeros? No, it doesn't, because when they planted it, it was 40 inches tall. So in this case, there would be no zeros. Because the tree was planted at 55 inches tall. Actually at 40 inches tall. So when we're looking at graphs of real life situations, you don't always have to have a zero. In fact, a lot of them will not ever have a zero because of the way the world works. So, how do you know when you're successful? You know when you're successful when you can identify the key features of functions. These are the key features of functions.